All right, we're back for episode 4 of Plugged In with Adam Cianciarulo. We kind of locked in that name.
I like it.
Officially.
I like it.
So unplugged first, but we're plugged in now. I'm here with my co-host, Shane Doyle, and the everywhere man, Daniel Blair.
Everywhere, even at Adam's house. How did this happen? This was like...
It just worked out.
I know.
I was you hit me up, asked me if I was in town. You're obviously out here doing some work for Orange Brigade. Mm-hmm. And yeah, people still ask me like, "Are you in Florida? Are you in Florida?" I mean, I've been in California for like 3 years now, man. I sold everything. I went all in.
Yeah, but in this industry, I feel like everybody's got both. So I don't know where you're at this week. You know?
Well, it's funny because I feel like you kind of on a 250. Most of the guys are only in California, and then you start making 450 money, and you do the full season with obviously a lot of the races being on the East Coast, and then I feel like people always split their time. You know, I kind of grew up with with Villapoto his last few years. They're all doing that, and it was just a little bit backwards for me. I guess I did the back and forth thing my whole 250 career early, and then out here now.
So you're a Florida guy that is now a Cali guy.
I am.
I'm a Cali guy.
Yeah, usually it's backwards.
Yeah, I'm in South Carolina now.
Yeah, you're
so I made the full move the other direction. So you like it out here better?
You know, I think for me it was a play of when I lived in Claremont. I'm 2 hours, an hour and a half, 2 hours away from all my friends and family, and that's enough time where I'm not seeing them that much. You know, every once in a while on a weekend, go up there, whatever. But it got to a point where, you know, I'm a single dude. I had this sweet house, golf course, everything that I could want. But I didn't really have any training partners. I didn't have a lot of friends around. So it was like I would do my work. I was riding at Stewart's at the time. I would do my work. I would come home. I would sit in my sick house and look at my 85-inch plasma screen. But be like, you know, I'm like,
I see nobody.
I'm 25 years old. You know, I feel like I need to be, I don't know, just doing more and socializing, interacting more. So I have a lot of friends out here, and it was just it worked with the team as well. But yeah. So Cali guy. Let's get into you though, man. What have you been up to?
Nothing.
Come on now.
No, I see your Instagram stories. You've been doing stuff every single day.
Oh, that's the only way I live. And I've learned that. You'll know this because as you grow up and get older, you learn more about yourself. You learn what makes you tick. And I've learned that for me, if I'm not going 100 miles an hour, I'm actually like depressed. If it slows down at all, like I'll take a day. I'm taking today off. By 1 o'clock, I'm like I'm just empty. And so I gotta move all the time. That's just to make me happy, just to like be normal, not even happy. That's just normal.
I think that there's a quote, somebody says that all human problems come from the inability to sit alone in a room with yourself.
I can't do it.
It's hard. It's really hard, especially guys like us, I think, just natural high achievers, goal-oriented.
Chasers.
Yep. It's, you know, you ask somebody like Philip, anybody that's ultra successful, they reach the top of the mountain and they get there, and it's just the next thing. It's just the next thing because it never stops.
We've talked about that, Shane, about how, in fact, it's worse because every bit of success you have, it fuels the want for the next one even worse. So it's almost like, you get there and you think, I made it, now I can chill. It's like, no, you made it, and now this is not enough.
Yeah.
And now you feel like you need more.
I think it's just the competitive aspect between you guys, like racers.
For me, it's like now, as I've gotten older, before I'm like, man, I win a Supercross race, I'm going to be the happiest dude alive for the rest of my life. Like I used to think when I was like 14, 15 years old that I was just going to race until I was 30 and then do nothing. And now I'm like, you know, as that gets closer, I'm like, man, I'm going to have to find another passion and do something else. But it's definitely not, you got to keep it in perspective. But I found that even keeping it in perspective for me, like my goals, knowing that it's not going to completely fulfill me and bring me happiness, I still love the feeling of winning or reaching that goal, you know. And I think as you get older, you figure out that the chase is the most important thing.
And to me, it's the most fulfilling. And I've learned that too, because I've found levels of success in the last few years of my life. And I've gotten to the point where I'm like, yes. And then I actually look back and I enjoyed the chasing it part more than I actually enjoyed even getting it. Like I loved, because I'm a dreamer. I don't know if you're the same.
Yeah.
I'm a dreamer. I have big dreams. I dream way bigger than I should. I dream huge, and chasing that dream and thinking about what it could be if you get it, that's my gas. That's the fuel all the time. And then you get it and you're like, sick. Okay, so what's the next one? Because I actually enjoyed the process of chasing it more than I actually do getting it. I mean, I don't know. It's just, and I don't know if it's the racer side of me. I don't know if it's, for me, maybe being really grown up early. When I was 18, I mean, it was like mom and dad were like, all right, you're a man, good luck. And it was like on, and it was very difficult. So for me, I think I'm just wired that way alone, where I've only chased my whole life, just mostly in the beginning out of necessity to survive. But then once you get past survival, now you're trying to chase down things. You know, I want a nicer house for my family. I want to be able to buy my kid another. But now I have to chase because I want things for other people. And it's funny because my wife and I got in this conversation the other day. I don't do anything for me. I don't buy anything for me. My thrill comes from chasing goals. And then the reward to me is I want to give it to the people around me. And I don't know if that's grown up poor. I don't know why I'm this way. But it's working, I think, for now.
One thing I've noticed with you, and kind of we'll get into this more, but just I guess your character arc. Like you've done a lot of really cool stuff in dirt bikes and racing, and you had a band. Like you to me, you can tell when somebody limits themselves to something, and I think we see a lot of that in this industry. Is like, we have to be in this box, be this guy. There's a really way that you're expected to be as a rider, and if you get out of that, you're gonna get some heat, some backlash. You know, so I think what I've noticed with you is just you don't limit yourself. You know, and I think that like I can feel that when I'm around you, and it's cool that kind of everything you've set your mind to really you've done. So
I owned a cab company.
I forgot about that. I forgot about that.
I started and owned and sold a cab company.
That's unreal.
Dude, hold on.
Yeah, I'm not kidding.
Tell us a little more, because I want to hear this story again about how this happened.
Okay, do you guys remember Hobo Nick? Remember Hobo Nick?
Oh yeah.
Hobo Nick, like, dude, like one of my forever friend. He's a guy I could not talk to him for 20 years, and the minute I see him, I just want to hug him so bad. I love Hobo Nick so much. And in 2013, I was racing arena cross, kind of doing that like end of career survival thing. Like, I don't know where I need to go where I can make just enough money to keep doing this thing because I don't know what to do.
Right.
And during that season, I was kind of coming to the grips of like, I need to be done. Like, this ain't going anywhere. And just me and him creatively kind of came up with this idea. It started out as a joke. We wanted to have a company called NASCAB. We were going to have cabs that were all painted like NASCARs, and we were just having a good time joking. We were like, we're going to wear helmets, and we're going to drive around people and pick up people in NASCABs. That was where it started. Very quickly, we learned that was probably a stupid idea, and it might have sounded funnier than it was going to become. So then we ended up changing it. Nick's idea, because he's such a giving person. He's a charitable human. He's like, I've had this idea about like, what if we had a cab company and like a certain percentage of the fares go to like some charities that I care about, whatever. Boom, we came up with Charity Cab. That was our name. And we started a business, me, Nick, and another friend, Rhett.
What year is this?
This is 2013 Arena Cross ends, and I'm done. And I bought a Camry first. We had Camrys first. I bought a Camry. Nick bought a Camry. Our buddy Rhett had like a little mini SUV thing. And yeah, this was the summer of 2013. And we just did it. We just started it, and we started $1 of every fare would go to charity, and we would change the charity. We eventually moved it to local charities in the area, like animal shelters.
This was Sacramento, right? Like that
No,
area?
Bay Area. This is pre-Uber, just so you know, Uber plays a role in this. This is pre-Uber in the area. We're like in the outskirts of the Bay Area, like they call it East Bay, Pleasanton, Livermore, that area. And it was just like an idea, and I was ambitious. I wanted to start a business, and he had the model figured out. He knew the business because he had driven a cab before, just in different chapters of his life. Because talk about someone. You want to talk to somebody? Talk to Hobo Nick. Dude, that dude's life. Wow.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And then so we did it. We got all of our licenses. We got our permits. We went through the whole process. Started a business, and us three lived in the
you
cars.
guys driving?
We drove, and we lived. We had our own cars. I had a Camry. Nick had a Camry.
Were you married at this point?
Yeah, what did Maggie think about this?
Look, Maggie, That poor woman, man. She has been through a lot of dumb things that I've done, and it's worked out. She's very happy with her life now. I finally gave her the life she wanted, but it took a while. But I had my son. He was 3. My wife was pregnant, about to have. We started in like June, and my wife was due in August. So I had my daughter was coming, and we were gonna go for it. And I was ambitious, and she's never killed my ambition ever. As crazy and dumb of the idea is, I mean, dude, I had a Class A truck license. I drove big rigs for a while, and like the Folsom Dam, like I helped rebuild the Folsom Dam. Did that for a while. Worked for a construction company. Built. You ever see that Chevron out on 395 out in Victorville, like out where Sunrise used to be? Did you ever go up that way, Comp Edge? That big giant Chevron. So
vaguely,
I was the the manager of that whole project. It was a $1.2 million Chevron gas station. I knew nothing. I knew nothing about that at all. But the owner of the company overbid. Okay, he bid and got too many jobs, and he's like, I'm going to hire you. You're going to manage this. You're going to manage it through the phone and email with me, and we're going to pull this off just somehow.
So you weren't even really on site?
No, I lived there. I would fly all week. I'd be in Victorville. I'd fly home on the weekend. So what I'm getting at is my wife has put up with some stupid stuff along the way. But the cab thing was like, we had a vision, and it was a good vision. The hard part is we were living in the cars. I would sleep in the car because you got to be 24-hour to build your credibility in the area and let people know you're reliable. So I would sleep in the back of the Camry in like an apartment complex's parking lot, and then sometimes security would wake me up. I'd have to go move, and you're just waiting for a call at 2 a.m. from someone drunk to go get them because you need to build your reputation as reliable. And I did that all the way through, and then my daughter was born. And that just, I mean...
And shit gets real.
And I already had my son, but he's 3. You know, it's working, but I could not be with my daughter, and the job required 24/7 being available. And there was only 3 of us, and we were blowing up. Like I had to.
Were you making good money doing it at this point?
It was starting to roll. It was like we had gotten through the dirty part, the growth part. You know, you lose money at first, but within 2 months, we were already getting a reputation. Like, these guys are awesome. We had punch cards, 9 rides and your 10th is free. We did all those types of things, and it was working. But my daughter was born, and I don't know if it's the difference between a boy and a girl. My son, to me, he's like, I've always looked at him like, you're a little dude. You better be tough and deal. Right. My daughter, dude, it was like, that's my baby. I couldn't even stand to be away from her for 3 days. I'd go for 3 days. I'll be back on Thursday, babe. And I'd just go live in the car for 3 days. And I couldn't do it.
That's pretty gnarly, man.
Dude, it was gnarly, but it was part of this like ambitious thing I've gone through probably for about a 10-year period where I guess if you're, like I said, I
got to be chased some.
I grew up poor. My adult life was very tough all the way through. And I'm like, I got a wife who's like so loyal and cool, and like these kids. And I'm like, I have to do something for them. And that's going to require me to maybe be gone a lot, which I still to this day have been. But that's how I'm going to be able to generate the income that gives them the life that I want to give them. So it's tough because I'm away from them. But at the same time, like, I'm doing good for them. But I couldn't handle that.
It's always, I imagine it's difficult to balance that. I mean, you're always kind of walking a line, right? You want to have that pride and feel like you're taking care of them. But you also, you only live one time.
My opportunities came with me being away. Every opportunity I've ever gotten has been, you have to be away from home. And it's like, man, like, I would love the day to come where I'm like, I can have a great job, successful situation, and I don't have to leave my home and be with my family. Like, I want that bad, but I know that that's just not the cards,
I'm looking for a personal assistant, just online stuff, booking flights.
How much you pay?
Shoot, probably not enough.
I want whatever Shane gets, but double. But anyway, so that was a cab company. And then I ended up saying, guys, I can't hang, and they bought me out.
So it was just still the 3 cars. Mm-hmm. So they bought your job. Yeah.
What's that?
That was your only job
at that time? At that time, I dropped everything for that. And
they bought your Camry.
Bought my Camry, bought me out of the business, and then eventually Nick sold to Rhett. Rhett ended up running it for a few more years. He ended up selling it, but the problem was Uber. All of a sudden, these Ubers from the Bay, like the Bay, we're talking Oakland, San Francisco, all of a sudden, they're starting to pop up out in the East Bay, and I'm like, uh-oh, and you know what, I mean, look what happened. I mean, the personalized cab companies have had to modify the way they do business now because Uber just wiped them. But Charity Cab hung in there because it had such a great purpose, and we were integrated in the community, so it survived, and Rhett survived for a while. But eventually, I mean, Uber's just, you punch on your phone, and
it's so easy.
It's so easy. So,
I would never get in a cab. No,
I didn't mean either. I'm like,
where is Rhett at now? Like, is he still
NorCal hangs, rides, dude. Like moved to Costa Rica for a while, moved back. Like just one of the coolest dudes ever. But
I've been to Costa Rica.
You have, huh? Let's get into that.
No. All right. So how did that? I don't really know. I feel like you kind of just popped up on the scene in dirt bikes. Obviously, I'd seen your name around. I remember you riding the all black Geico Honda. That was sick,
dude.
So sick.
Man.
that was a sick bike.
But then all of a
09,
sudden,
they did some good one-offs, man. Oh my god.
Then all of a sudden, you're trackside reporting. So kind of explain to us that origin.
Okay.
And did you have like a passion
Zero.
for
I'm going to tell you straight up.
Okay.
The day I got the phone call. So
which makes it more impressive.
Well, and it makes it seem I'm very privately very spiritual and publicly very everyone
Same.
be there same, but privately I am very, very spiritual, and I believe a lot of things lined up in my life in a very weird order to lead me to here. Like the story and how I got to today, I don't see how it could just happen that way. I mean, and here's the example. The cab company doesn't work out. I'm done racing, right? Well, all of a sudden something popped up and it's like, I'm back racing arena cross again. And there I am, I'm back. KTM had this contingency that was awesome. And, Stank Dog was like, I'll drive everything. You can fly in. I got to deal with GoPro where they're like, we'll pay you to go to the races. We'll pay all your expenses and pay you just to turn GoPros on people's heads.
Oh, yeah.
Like a bunch of things like lined up to where I was like, I have to go back, not to be a racer, but there was just a lot included that could come of this. So I ended up back in racing, doing arena cross. But
And this is 2014?
14. Yeah, this is 2014. But one thing I did, and I always did this, and this was out of necessity going back to when I first started racing Supercross, I always made myself available for press days because I got to ride the track. And I would say, hey, I'll do all the interviews, all whatever. So I'd be at Supercross at 4 a.m. doing an interview with Fox and CBS and these local reporters just so I could get on the track, get it dialed in, and I could do better than it. So I've done that my whole life. Well, in 2014, me just being kind of, I'd call it like a low-key pit lizard, and I just run through the pits and talk to everybody all the time. That's just, kind of how I've always done it. I'm social. You end up making friends with the TV people at Arena Cross. Yep. I loved Robbie Floyd and Grant Langston. I thought they were so cool that they were there, like Grant's there. They were doing some rounds live that year.
I remember that.
It was so rad, and I was racing in it. And what happened is Grant ended up getting an offer to go to the outdoors. And part of that responsibility back then in those times is you ain't doing both, man. Like the Feld side and the MX Sports, I mean, that was those days, right? So you go there, you're done here. Well, he took it. And with that came an open seat. And me being, always doing track interviews, like they'd be like, hey, can you do a track report? And I'd be in my gear and like, hey, guys, welcome to Worcester. Like, this is the corner. I did that back when I was racing that night. I would do that. So all of a sudden there's an opening, and Glenn Seelig from Digital Realm, who I still work with to this day, I do arena cross with him. He called me, hey, would you be interested in auditioning to be the TV analyst for arena cross? And I swear to you, before that call, I had never even thought that was even a 1%. And I don't know why, but I never looked at that as like, I could do that. I just blinded, I guess, by the situation I was in, which I was still racing and figuring things out. I get that call and I'm like, oh my God, that would be insane. Like, I could be on TV. I couldn't believe it. So the problem is at that time, I am down in Victorville building this gas station because that job came about. My dad worked for the company. I got the job. They needed somebody. Boom, I'm there. At the exact same time, my band was making a little mini comeback because we had some connections with the Rockstar Taste of Chaos tour.
Renaissance, man.
Bro, some construction guy by day, fake-ass rock star by night, trying to be a rocker, going to go on tour. We were set up to maybe do that tour and go with like Avenged Sevenfold, and then this is like happening. So I'm like all back in on that, and I'm driving to Vegas and rehearsing with Mike Mason was new to the band. Yep. He was coming on board. My brother he's the core of our band. He's everything. Without my brother, there's nothing.
I played PlayStation with your brother?
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He loves you too.
Really?
He says you and AP, he loves playing with you guys.
Yeah, I remember playing with him the OG Warzone, and he was like unbelievable.
Yeah,
Good.
he got banned from that game like 5 or 6 times. So if you're wondering how he was unbelievable, figure that out.
Aimbot.
And he would deny it. And you know how he got caught? my son, my little, like, at the time 9-year-old son, was like, I went on Uncle Vincent's computer and he's got all the cheat codes. That's how I found. Yeah, that's how I found out.
No way.
And I called him out on my own podcast, like live. My brother denied it, and my son's like, well, Vincent, I saw that. Like, lying to my kid. And yes, my brother's been kicked off of all those games.
No way.
That's hilarious.
Sorry to, like, he's not that good. He just cheats.
Respect.
But anyways, so my brother, though, he's the mastermind of all of our music. I'll say straight up, a phenom musician. And the band was firing off. Like, we were getting back at it. We were rehearsing. We had a bunch of big shows coming up. We played the pre-party at Monster Cup, I guess it would have been, open for Strung Out and Big B. And
no way.
So we did. So this is going on right then when I get this call to audition, and the dates worked out to where I called my boss and said, hey, can I bolt out for 2 days and do this? And my boss for the construction company is like, absolutely. So I ended up leaving work. We had a concert in Corona. We played in Corona at someplace right there by the test tracks. Some cool little club.
Not Chain Reaction.
No, I forget what it's called. We played that night. I got in my construction truck, drove to John Wayne, slept in the truck, hopped on a flight, flew to Chicago, and did the audition while I'm working, and the band's kind of like getting ready for a relaunch, you know?
So the audition for
Arena Cross.
the Arena Cross
analyst spot
Analyst got
next to Robbie Floyd.
Okay.
So
Was that when Feld was still in Chicago? Or was it just the
Yeah,
TV
they had to
place
be.
was still there?
this is, I don't know if they'd moved. Maybe some had moved, but maybe not. Because I think
Is that where you
I
went?
think
or
that
did you
was
go
like
to, NBC?
2017.
I went to Chicago. I went to Glenn's studio in Chicago.
Okay.
And so I go there, and I'm just like, I don't have expectations because I don't even know what the scoop is. And the worst thing ever is I found out right before who else was auditioning. And I'm like, oh,
No.
why even fly me here? Ivan Tedesco, Jake Weimer, Will Hahn, Jason Thomas, and a couple more that I don't know.
Oh, my goodness.
All flew into
I didn't know
audition.
that.
And I'm like, why are you wasting my time? These are champions of our sport. It's the analyst position, which is like the champion position, like the racer position.
Right.
And I'm like, well, this will be cool to tell people I tried out, but I'm not getting this. And I had no experience. So I just went in there just raw. And,
So almost was it nerve-wracking, or did you, because all those guys were there and you felt like you kind of had no shot, do you think that made the audition better? Because
them being there played a little role in my mind, but I'll be fully honest with you, I have never gotten nervous doing TV, not one time. I don't know why. I mean, to be fair, I have experience performing. I was the lead
Right.
singer in my band, so I know what it's like to be the lead frontman and command a crowd. Growing up in high school, I did competitive speech and debate, so I was doing like speech,
No way.
like tournaments, and so I've always been able to perform on a microphone, yet never thought TV was a future. So starting on that very audition, I've never been nervous doing that stuff. I'm more like antsy, like I can't wait to press
Tell
record.
people what
yeah,
you see.
Press record, let's go, and then boom, I love it. It's very passionate for me. So, but them being there, the other names being there was like, I almost felt defeated right off the bat, which maybe it helped me because maybe it was one of those things where I was like, degaff, like I ain't getting this anyway,
Right.
so why try to be anything other than just like let it rip
some of my best races
when you don't care, right?
are that way. When you let it all go.
And you hate that, right? Because you can't count on that to be the way you live all the time. But gosh, it's like when you don't care, you do good sometimes.
Well,
And I hate that.
I think sometimes in what I'm able to do now a lot more often, of course, every day is a work in progress. But if you're able to tap into that when you want,
Yeah.
like you can't have too much perspective all the time. You know what? You can't not care about something because you can't, I wouldn't be able to get out of bed and do my bike rides and do everything. But sometimes at the races that serves me well by being like, you know what? No matter what happens today, you're going to be fine tomorrow. Because as dramatic as that sounds, it means a lot to us. Of course.
I think the programming, though, as a racer is everything matters all the time so much. I think
Yes.
we're programmed so weird as a racer. You know that. I mean, when you grow up your entire life and it's always about winning, like I think you're programmed to have pressure. And if you can ever flip a switch and shut it off, you can be so much better. But how do you convince yourself to not care that day for the positive? You know what I mean? It's if you can find it and corral that, and you got some magic. but good luck. That's just.
I really have found that this year. I really have. Like, if you see me at the rate before, it was difficult for me to even, like, say I'm meeting somebody at a race, like in between practices or something, or an autograph signing. It was really difficult for me to even interact with people for the first few years of my career, because I was so switched on and so, I guess, just performance anxiety, like just fight or flight mode all day long. And it's difficult to kind of flow and even flow through the week.
Yeah. It's again, I think that's the racer mentality program life from a kid. Definitely. I mean, my kid right now, he's racing, and I'm seeing some little traits in his personality. I'm like, God, that's flashbacks. And I don't even know where it's just coming out naturally, because I think it's the competitive nature with also doing a very dangerous thing.
Do you see some of your, like we were just talking about, always chasing, goal oriented? Do you see that in your son?
No, well, I don't know yet. I don't know. He's growing. He's 13 now, so he's starting to change a little bit, but I just had to talk to my wife the other day about it. And my son is pretty much a carbon copy of my wife in every way. Okay. Like, the more I figure him out, I'm realizing, oh, you're just like your mom. Yeah. So that's
me.
Okay.
Mine.
And my daughter is me 100%, like 100%.
That's funny, because my sister's my dad.
Oh, and I mean, my daughter will say something and I just smile. I'm like, that's exactly what I would have said right there.
Is that good or bad for Evan though?
It might be good if he wants to be a racer, because I had some serious pussy issues as a racer that he don't have. He's a little
no way.
He's a little brave. He's actually very afraid of everything, but then in fight or flight, he's pretty gnarly. And me, I was the opposite. Afraid of nothing, fight or flight, caved. So he's like a reverse of me. But he's a kid, and he's also like just getting into. I don't know yet with him, but I am learning. But I'm not talking moto. I'm talking life. These kids are complete. Like whenever I'm having an issue with my son, I just think, okay, how would I handle this with my wife? And then I do that, and it works every time. They're twins. But anyways, so back to the tryout. No, I wasn't nervous, but I was a little defeated, just because I was like, is this like you bring me here for charity to try out? Like, you have Ivan Tedesco, you have Jake Wilhelm. These are Wilhelm, Supercross champions.
Right.
To go in arena cross.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Those guys even wanted to do that.
They all went. They all flew in. They all auditioned, and it was crazy. So anyways, I do the audition. It went really, really well. Robbie Floyd is really good. He is a just absolute professional, so much experience. And when I say good too, the key to broadcasting, because I know your ambitions there, the key to broadcasting is the chemistry with the person you're next to. You have to almost become one, because the fans see that and they feel comfortable in the relationship, and then they can focus on the content because they know you guys are one. And Robbie Floyd is like, he can be one with anybody. He's just
turns it on.
Just know I think he could look at me and go, "Oh, you're like that," and then he would just work with me like the way I needed to be worked with. And so he was great. I fly back home. I don't hear anything for a while. A couple weeks go by, and then they call me, and I'm like, "Oh boy, here we go." And they go, "Yeah, we had a little issue with the file. Like, something happened. It was corrupted, whatever. So the people reviewing this to make the decision, we don't have your file. You have to come back and do another one."
You're kidding.
Yeah, and I'm like, damn it, because I did good, but if they're calling me back for a second one, they're going to fly me in. Hey, we might be in. That means everyone in the room liked it.
Saw something.
They liked
saw something.
But they need to send it out to the people that need to make the call. So it was kind of like a, hey.
Maybe I can do this.
I might have a little traction here. And I mean, okay. So that time I prepared way more because I knew what to expect. And then I went on the second audition, and I thought I was way worse. Like, I think trying a little too hard in areas. I was thinking. I started thinking, because the first one I didn't think.
Because now you feel you have a shot.
What did they have you do? Like, were you just watching a race and just commentating over it?
We went downstairs. They got the green screen. We did the stand-up. Hey, everybody, I'm Robbie Floyd here, and Daniel, Tyler Bowers, blah, 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 because that was the guy back then, right? Bowers and Ames and these guys. Blah, blah, blah. And then I did my little thing and, on camera. Then we went back upstairs. We get in a room. There's a TV screen in the room. I mean, we still do it this way. Me and Justin Brayton, we do arena cross. We sit in a room. We have a screen. And we have a script because we know what's edited. And we just, okay, this segment opening is 45 seconds. You're going to see this. You're going to see that. Get us to the gate drop. And that's kind of how we do it now, but that's how we did it then. So Robbie does his thing. Yeah, welcome to Des Moines or wherever, blah, blah, blah. Daniel, what do you think? And I just let it rip. The second one was worse for sure, but I think where I may have earned some respect, and I don't know if they did this on purpose or an accident, The race we watched back this time was a race where I happened to win the LCQ, and they made me do that call. So they had
No
me
way.
call my own race where I won the LCQ.
Were you hard on yourself?
Oh, God, dude. So I tore into myself so bad and like, you know how like the commentators are supposed to know everything about the riders? I know a lot about that guy on screen. I know everything about him, all the bad stuff. And I trashed myself so bad. I would love to see it back now. I think they have the file. But I was like, this guy, I don't know how he is leading. I just saw him eating M&Ms right before the LC. Like I went off like out of character and just trashed myself, and they were laughing the whole time. But that may have been part of why I earned some of their trust. They realized that there's some range here. He has a sense of humor. Instead of covering himself on screen, I didn't like get all weird. I actually just got like sillier about it. So I think they were like, you know what, this guy really doesn't crack under weird situations.
Yeah, but I think too, you're really self-aware, obviously, and having kind of that spiritual side of you. You're like, or I guess I'm like you because you're older than me, but there's so much there. Like even in commentating and in the details, you know, when you're in touch with yourself like that, I feel like it gives you such an advantage in terms of articulating the information.
Well, and for me, the spiritual side has always fallen back on. I have a strong belief. And when you have a strong belief, that belief can be used in many different ways. And I've always believed in myself. Since this has started. As a racer, I never did. But in TVA, I always did because it was not easy, but comfortable. It's always been a comfortable thing. And that makes you believe in yourself because you're like, if I'm this comfortable, then how good can I get? Because there's not really many hurdles in the way. And
maybe racing for you, and I always say this in terms of like what's success and failure, and some of the things that racing has done for me has taught me. It could have taken a lifetime.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. If it taught you, if the only thing racing did for you was teach you to believe in yourself, how was that failure? And
it's funny you say that too, because when I talk to people, they're like, "Man, I can't believe how far you've gone in commentating, being a racer." Because obviously in commentating, I've pivoted out of being an analyst and learned how to be a broadcaster.
Yes.
Like I'm a commentator
which is a big
world.
change. It's
Different
almost
world.
like a completely different.
The responsibilities are 100% the opposite of the other guy, which is natural to me. I'm a racer. I'm watching right now on screen in your house, and I'm like, okay, I watch that as a racer, but as a broadcaster, you have to learn how to communicate not as a racer. So, but I've always felt like now that I know this looking back, I wasn't a racer that turned broadcaster. I was a broadcaster who just raced first. I just did that first. But that was my college. That was my education that allowed me to do this job. Because if I didn't know how to call dirt bike racing, I would have never been able to go anywhere. So for me, I look at racing as the thing that got me to my actual destination, not that commentating is my post-destination life. So, but anyways, that audition, yeah, the second one, not as good. I went home, not as, I didn't think much of it. They did tell me on that trip what the pay was.
What'd you think?
Yeah,
$250 a show.
Wait, for the arena cross ones?
Oh, yeah.
You're kidding me.
The first year, $250 a show. Fly to Chicago, red eye, overnight flight, land there, do a show, fly back home. Every week, 12 rounds, $250. That was the first year.
That's incredible.
Wow.
But I had a lot of other jobs at the time. So.
Yeah, and you've always.
I wasn't relying on that. That to me, I was like, you keep your money. I don't care. Yeah, like, I'm on TV. Like I don't even care.
You're building your resume.
Yeah, and I wasn't even thinking that far ahead yet. I wasn't thinking about a resume. I was like, holy crap, I'm on television, and they're actually going to give me some money, and they paid my flight.
So you still weren't thinking future in this at all.
No, I know that sounds crazy, but I never really thought future. We can get to that, but until. I guess when they made the switch from Fox to NBC, 2018 or 19, whatever year that was, when I met my TV coach for the first time, and he literally, my TV coach is Tony Romo. Okay, so he's like...
I've worked with him.
Coach Tony.
Yeah.
He's
great guy.
I love that man. He's a great person, especially for my life. But Coach Tony literally in the very first meeting was like, you can do this. And when I say you can do this, I'm saying you can do this. And he actually told me in that very first meeting, pivot, get out of the analyst lane. You need to learn how to be the other guy because you can do this. And that's the first time I ever thought I could do a career of this. And he was the one
when somebody like that with those credentials is telling you.
When Tony Romo's coach says, hey, you need to move into the play-by-play position because there's a chance that you could go anywhere. You want to go to football? What other sports do you like? You can go anywhere. To hear that from him on the first meeting, that's when I went, I think I could do a career.
And
here.
these guys don't blow smoke.
No, he didn't have to do that. And then what he's done since then with me proves that he's done a lot for me for free. Like, let's be honest, he's paid by them, whatever, but he's always that guy like, hey, if you guys need anything, you call me. I take advantage of that, and he likes that because I'm ambitious. So he has been the most influential person on any of my growth at all. The guy's a mad genius, in my opinion. But anyways, I get the arena cross deal. I get the call, Daniel, you're going to do it, blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, we do have one issue. I'm already racing next year, too. I have a deal with Stank Dog. We have motorsport.com as a title sponsor. I'm racing. And they're like, oh, well, obviously that doesn't work. You can't call yourself on screen because we come across as live, even though it's all post-edited, recorded. And so we worked a deal. They said, okay, you can race, but you have to ride just the lights class. And then you can do TV in the other class, and that's fine. You'll be there every weekend. I'll go to the races. I'll race. I'll do the GoPro. I'll do all my stuff. But then on Mondays, I'll fly to Chicago, and I'll do TV for the big class that I was there watching, but I didn't race in. So it ended up working out like perfectly, and that's why for me, the money wasn't a big deal because this was just a chance to do something cool and be on television. Everything else was already being taken care of, kind of.
And by being ambitious and having a bunch of different side hustles, it kind of, and that's something for myself post-racing where, is why I have some rental properties and things like that, passive income, to give myself the freedom to find a passion or something you're good at.
That's why, and it did not require me to lose any of the foundational things that I had that made me survive life. It didn't affect that. So I was like, yeah, I'll pay you guys $250 if you want. Like, I'm cool with that, but I just want to go. Like, I want to do it. So I did, but that first year of Arena Cross, again, I flew in every weekend. I raced. I had watched the main class happen, which sucked because I'm watching the main, and then on Monday I got to call it and pretend I didn't know what happened. Like, oh my God, when it's like I know every move that happened that night. There was even some nights, I think of Tacoma Dome was the one that stands out. For some reason, Christy Lee, who was doing the TV... Oh, no, it was Diana Dahlgren. It was Diana Dahlgren that year. So for some reason, she couldn't go to one, and we had to do podium interviews, and I'm there, so they're like, all right, you're going to do the podium interviews, and I'm like, I'm in my gear, I'm racing, I'm dripping with sweat, whatever, and they're like, bring your suit. So I was doing races where I'd get done with my 250 heat race, win the heat race, park my bike, go and put my suit jacket on, go to the podium, and then interview Zach Ames or Kyle Riegel or Jacob Hayes on the podium. Hey, man, good heat race. How you feeling out there?
No way.
And literally below, I'm in my gear and my boots, and then I'd put the mic down and go race my main event. Then fly home, work
How
Monday.
were you racing? Like, how was racing going?
Lights Arena Cross champion, dog.
That was
That's
the year?
I won the
Put some
title.
respect on that.
Yeah, put some respect.
So that goes back to the same mindset that you had when you first got the call to do the audition with all those guys there. Mm-hmm. When you're doing TV and you feel like you probably let yourself off the hook mentally.
Yeah, or it was because I was racing a bunch of kids that were trying to get their license.
Did you ever race that?
Either one.
Did you ever do Arena Cross?
No.
You lucked out.
I was
you
early.
were grandfathered into that, huh?
Yeah, I was early.
I got taken
You got
out
lucky.
by
You got
AP.
lucky.
Took me out. RJ Hampshire almost took me out about 8 times, I think on accident. But no, they all came through and did their road to Supercross, but they would ride both classes. So I was dealing with AP was number 57 on a Yamaha with like MSR gear maybe or something. Is that right?
MSR or Answer, one of the two.
One of them.
What's crazy about Plessinger is we as an amateur, I think we all thought he was going to be a woods racer. Like there was a few years towards the end of his career where he wasn't coming to. I feel like he wasn't coming to all the big races. He was doing a lot of stuff in the woods, and I'm like, okay, he's going to be.
Well, when he was T-boning me in the heat race that night, I was like, who is this guy? And I was like, oh, he's an amateur kid. He's good, but I had heard he was like a woods guy, so I was like, this guy's actually pretty good. I mean, if woods racing is his life, cool, but this guy could probably be pretty good at this. He might end up going and winning some championships. And he did. But at that time, I didn't like him a lot because he was spearing me in every corner in the lights class. I'm like, dude, have some respect on the old boy. I'm just trying to survive. And I got these kids trying to get their license all getting violent. So, so that year, but the credit on winning the Arena Cross Championship, a lot of people are like, dude, you got a title. That's sick. In reality, dude, I clinched 3 rounds early. I may have been the only one on the West Coast that did all the rounds that year. It was not a rewarding.
Do you have a number 1 plate in your house?
I'll have the plate and the front number plate.
That's all you
on
need,
the wall.
brother.
I remind myself every day.
Do you have a tattoo of it?
I don't have that, but I do have some open spots. My wrist, I could put a one dub on the wrist.
But what it's really hard to climb to climb. It's easy if you're James Stewart or Ricky Carmichael to just grab a microphone and be the guy. But the fact that you didn't have all these accomplishments, championships, whatever, did you feel that it was more difficult to kind of get to where you wanted to go? Obviously, after the Arena Cross deal,
I always felt a little guilty for being in a seat that I didn't think I should have been in as an analyst. Because when you're the analyst, it's about your credibility. And I'm sitting here, in reality, I made 3 450 main events in my Supercross career. I did 250s. I did okay. I got top 10 in points one year. I've done some okay things. But in reality, I've made 3 450 mains. And to be in the seat as the analyst, like the know-it-all guy, the guy who's supposed to educate, I always felt guilty about that because I didn't feel like I deserved
imposter syndrome.
A little bit. Big time. I was like, dude, and then the fact that I got it over some of these big championship name guys, I always felt like, in fact, I'm okay to admit it now, but back then I would never tell anybody that they auditioned because then people would be like, well, then why are you in there and not them? So I kept that quiet because I didn't want to be embarrassed by the fact that I got it somehow.
Do you feel that, and this is obviously the only industry I really know in growing up in, but I think we look at riders that aren't successful in a very condescending way as a sport.
Yeah.
As a sport.
Well,
like if you're, it like you classic the couple years ago when people are like, why is Ken Roxon still racing? He's like third in points, getting podiums because obviously people expect him to win. But I think in general, if you're not like one of those elite guys, it's very condescending. So what I'm saying is I think that can have an effect on a lot of people's confidence and maybe
self-awareness,
contribute to that kind of inferiority complex that you had to overcome.
Yeah, and I did, but only the first year because I did do a really good job the first year. Naturally, as an analyst, I analyze. I'm a coach. I like to teach. So it all fit and it worked and I got pretty good pretty quick at it. So I did grow out of that after the first year because I would go to the races and the racers would be like, dude, good job. The show was good last week. And this is like the top 10 in points in the big class. They would be like, dude, good job last week. That you're doing really good. Really. So a bunch of reassuring positivity.
Confidence through performance, kind of proving it to yourself.
And then I would watch back and be like, I'd pick apart the things I didn't like, but then I'd get done. I'd shut it off after an episode and I'd be like, I'm pretty good at this. Like I can talk, like I'm a talker. But I never really thought about anything, the pay, the position didn't inspire me to think this was a career.
Did you like it?
Loved it. Oh, I mean, love it. I love racing so much. And the fact of being able to call it, like the call, like from gate drop to checkered is like,
I'm the same way.
I don't think there's anything better in the world.
I'm the same.
Because if you love this, I mean, there's so many ways you can love it and be a part of it. Sorry for everyone on video. I'm looking at Adam's.
Yeah, we have High Point on the television.
Giant TV screen. My God.
This is, we just moved into this house and this was left here. So I actually have an 85-inch in the living room
the
over
one
there.
from the bachelor pad he was talking about.
So big dog's in the other room.
Yeah, this is going to be.
Okay.
Anyway.
But I love it. I love calling, and I've always loved that part of it. Obviously, the travel part is
tough.
I think any human that some people love to travel. And
are you always flying on Thursday or Wednesday?
For Arena Cross?
Supercross.
Oh, Supercross, it would depend on my role. Whenever I was in the booth, I'd fly Thursday because I wanted to be there earlier and kind of like settle down. But if I was doing all my other roles, I'd just roll in on Fridays.
Let's get into that. How did you end up transitioning from Arena Cross to
okay,
Supercross?
So that was crazy. Do you ever remember Michael Prince? Did you ever meet Michael Prince?
Yeah,
the name?
I think he was the TV producer.
Okay.
When you did it the first time, I think.
Yeah, guy wearing Hawaiian shirts.
Okay.
Tall guy, old guy.
Vaguely, yeah.
Again, influential, like unbelievable in more ways that I can't even explain how influential this guy's been on me. But he called me. He was the head of TV at the time, so he was the one who made the final call on me doing Arena Cross and signed off on it. And he called me one day, and he would scare me, honestly. Prince. So when he calls, I'm like, oh, no, what did I do? And the reason why is because he chewed me out so bad after the very first show I ever did. I think I called stank dog like 3 or 4 times, and he was like, if I ever hear that word out of your mouth again on television, you're done.
No way.
And then I said moto too. Yeah, he looks good in this moto. I kept saying moto, and those were the not allowed to say moto days. And he said, if I hear the word moto out of your mouth one more time, you'll never be on TV for me again. So like he scared me a lot, but I always respected him because he was like no bullshit guy and he got things done.
Right.
So he scared me, but I respected him so much. But he calls me, I answer, what's up? He goes, hey, young man, what are your weekends looking like? Because this is now 2017. I did Arena Cross in 15, 16, and then in 17, I'm about halfway through the series, and he's like, what are you doing on weekends? I said, I'm at home, whatever. He's like, not anymore. You're on Race Day Live now. You're starting next weekend. So we'll get your flights.
Really?
That's how it happened. He didn't ask.
That's cool, though.
He told me, you're going on Race Day Live in the host position. This is not the analyst. That's Jim Hawley.
Straight to the show.
Straight to, hi, everybody. Welcome to Race Day Live. Like, I had never done anything like that.
Andy left, right?
Andy Boyer. So I pop up at Toronto 2017. Again, I feel like sometimes fate just helps you out here, but Uncle Jim Hawley. Jim Hawley's the analyst. I've known Jim since I was a little kid. He's been Uncle Jim to me since I was like 9.
Crazy.
I've known him forever. And I get there and he's like, Daniel, I know you don't know what you're doing. I got you, bro. Let's just have a good time. And if you get in a pickle, you send it over to me, and I'll just tell whatever. You tell me, you tap me when you're ready. So, dude, the first year, it was like...
So it's like the perfect position to...
Perfect person. Perfect person for me to land on in a spot that I was not ready for and would have flopped out so hard without him being like, I got you. I got you.
It's really hard for me to believe that some of those things are by accident, man. It's just so many, also with me, so many things in my life have worked out.
And you're like,
that way. And you just
like, how?
Exactly.
I give you 50
there's just some magic,
examples.
Whatever you believe in, like there's just some magic. It's awesome.
It's magical because it's like the right people are there for you at the right time when you need them the most. Like Jim Hall, I had talked to Jim in I don't know how long, and then immediately I walk onto set and it's like Uncle Jim, dude. And I love that guy so much, man. Like, and I did Pulp on Monday night.
Yeah.
Jimbo sneaks in, dude. Steve set me up. He didn't let me know that Jim was coming. Jim drove up. We started the show. He presses live. Jim comes walking in behind me, and I'm like I haven't felt that warm of a heart in so long because I love Jim so much, and now I got 5 hours just to rap with Jimbo.
Totally,
like, dude. So that happens, and right away,
2015,
17 now.
Okay, 17.
And I'm doing
Toronto.
Arena Cross too still.
Gotcha.
So I'm flying to the Supercross.
Still
I fly
250
home.
a show.
No, it might have been 350, but I don't remember. But it was something, but it was not good. But again, at that point, it had nothing to do with that. But I was a little nervous of that because I hadn't been around Supercross in a while. Like my last race Supercross was 2012, Houston Supercross. I made the 450 main that night. I know this sounds ridiculous, but Stu crashed out that night, and I beat him. And I said, "That's it. I'm ending."
No,
I'm ending right there. I swear to you on everything.
That doesn't sound weird to me.
No,
I understand.
You understand? I literally got done with that race, and I said, I don't think I'm going to be able to sneak into a main event ever again. And I just beat James Stewart, and I'm done. Now, he was sleeping half the race on the side of the track, but that's...
you beat James Stewart.
Paper don't lie. That's all I'm saying. So,
exactly.
So I hadn't been at Supercross in a long time. It was on the AMA's website. So yeah, take it or leave it. But anyways... I hadn't been at Supercross since 2012, and now it's 2017, and I'm getting thrown in to be the host of the show, the practice show. And so I wasn't nervous to go on set. Like, I was still the same, like, let's go. But I was nervous going the first race and, like, being around everybody because, like you said, I just kind of popped up, and all of a sudden now it's like, oh, yeah, that guy. Wait, he's hosting Race Day Live now? So that was a little nerve-wracking. I think the flight there was a little scary, but then showtime good.
Do you feel that how was the industry towards you early, or I guess just the people you were around, the culture? How did you feel you were received?
I was distant. I didn't socialize much. I knew who I knew that was there, and I would hang tight with them. So I was a little in my shell, I'd say. I wasn't like walking. Like, you know how I am now with you. I'll walk up to you now with a mic and just say some shit to you. Like,
totally.
Those days, I wouldn't even come and talk to you. I didn't feel like I belonged there a little bit. I felt like what am I doing?
I think we all have that sometimes too. I mean,
at first, you go in like, am I really welcome here? Like, are they going to think I'm stupid for being here and whatever? But it went really well, like really fast, and that goes back, I guess, to how just I'm wired. But I take things serious. I'm pretty black and white. There's no gray. If I'm into something, I'm all in. If I'm not, I'm all out. That's just how I am. And I was all in. Like, I cared. And I think my care in the beginning came at a fear of sucking and being embarrassed. I did not want people to make fun of me. And so my effort was
it's
not like.
It's interesting how the where the motivation comes from can change, you know, kind of as you progress.
I was not there trying to kill it to be great. I was trying to kill it so that people wouldn't make fun of me.
Yeah, like, please, I cannot screw this up, man.
Don't mess up.
Didn't you go? You were on the actual broadcast that first year too, right? In 2017, Salt Lake.
That leads to a lot of things that we might tap into here. But 2017, I'm in Indy. I'm in the breakfast at the hotel. Michael Prince and Bondo are eating breakfast, and they give me the old, come over here real quick. And again, me being me, I'm like, oh, I'm in trouble. What did I do? I screwed up. Like, what did I do? I
said moto too many times again.
Yeah, I did. I must have said stank dog again on Race Day Live or something. Anyways, they're like, hey, you're doing good. What do you think about trying the floor? Like, you know, because Ricky was doing a couple here and there. He was kind of like popping in and out because he had like a contract with Feld where he was doing arena cross, road to supercross. He'd be there to promote. He would do a couple floor here. He'd go in the booth sometime. He was just multi-use at the time. They're like, you know what Ricky does sometimes? You want to try that? And I was like, yeah, okay. And that one he didn't tell me. He asked if I want. I think that was a big move, and I don't think he was just going to make me do it. He wanted to do it. And I said, I'd like to do that. And so I did. It was 2017. I don't know if you remember the night.
I do, because I tore my ACL in practice. I raced. I got fifth.
Oh, he's got a good memory. All right. Do you remember Tomac that night having like a psycho from like last to first, ran Dungey down?
Yeah, it's one of those tracks.
He had a night. So it was that night. And I remember, man, I'm standing in the first turn and we're going live. Daniel, coming to you in 10, 9, 8, 7. And I went live and did my very first report in the first corner at Salt Lake City. And I did just one. It was just one.
This is Salt Lake.
Salt Lake, okay. 2017. And it was
that track was terrible,
awesome.
Man.
It was very terrible. Yeah. Well.
Whoops, right. Whoops, left.
Yeah.
Finish line, right. Double into a sand section, left. Supercross triple. Wall onto the start straight.
Really?
That was an insane title fight year too between Dunge and.
Oh, that was the Eli was coming and chasing him down.
The weekend after that, he threw it away.
And he did. And you know what's funny too is that I remember watching back that night, even a couple of years ago, and I did how we give an in-race hit, like hey Bondo, I got something, and then they'll come down to you, Adam, what do you got? Daniel, what do you got? I remember one of my on-track hits that night. I think is still to this day the best hit I've ever done in a race, and it was about Tomac, and I said, what we are seeing in this race, a rider out front who is being careful and a rider coming through the pack with no regards. This is exactly what the last 2 months of this championship has been. Dungey's protecting and Eli's coming, and we're watching it happen right now. It was very, very good. It was angles and layers to what I said. And I look back on that night, it might still be one of the best hits I ever had doing this. And that was enough to inspire them and me to get in a conversation. And then the next year they came back and said, you're going to do arena cross, you're going to do race day live, and you're going to do 10 on the floor. Ricky's doing 7, you're doing 10. You guys are going to split it. You want the job. And I was like,
yep.
This is turning into not a career, but like I'm starting to stack cash. I think I'm up to $1,000 now a show. I think we're getting somewhere here, and I'm getting on the big TV. I'm getting good response from the industry. Like, a mechanic or a team manager would be like, good show. Like, so all of a sudden it started
to feel like you belong.
I did. And from there I got more comfortable with everybody and really probably took the next level in my performances too, because the whole time I was doing it, there was always a little fear of failure, which I've struggled with my whole life. Fear of failure has been like my life. And I finally got past that to where I never thought I was going to fail again. Now it was like, how good can I be? I'm not trying to not suck. Like, how can I be really good at this? So I think that was the turning point where I started caring more the right way, I'd say. Like preparing and caring correctly, where before it was all based on not getting just smashed somehow.
Yeah. I hear you on the fear of failure thing, especially like for me growing up, being good so young, it was like I was always on that defense mode. Like, I can't lose this, man.
It wasn't I want to win. It was I can't lose.
Yeah, right? it became that really quickly.
But why though for you? Was it because of the result, or was it because of how you would feel? Was it the money? Was it the trophy? Like, why for you?
We talked about this a little bit, but
like what was that drive to not lose? Like what was,
I didn't want to let my dad down.
Really?
That's it, man.
Can I tell you something that just happened to me? And it was one of the weirdest moments. It happened to me last Saturday night with my son. And it literally, I'm still shook by what he said. He raced his first moto, brand new track against kids he'd never seen because we're new out there, right? And my son thinks he's going to win every moto. He's on the gate with her. I mean, if you don't know who you are, then he's going to beat you. That's just, he's naive a little bit. He ended up losing this kid by 11 seconds. And he came off like all pissed off. And I was like, no. You rode really good. That kid's fast. He's really good. I said, dude, next moto, let's get it down to 10.
Yeah.
He beat you by 10 seconds.
Yeah.
That's how you want to win? Get it to 10.
Yeah.
Okay. So I strategized with him and I said, all right, if you hole shot this kid, block him for a while, you're going to hold up his ability to get away. That might get you a second or two. Okay. He hole shots this kid, blocks him for half a lap, gets it down to 9. And we're like, yeah, he comes back and because I need him to know, like when I have a request that's achievable and you get it, I want you to know, hell yes.
Right.
But then I have this motto, and I even do it with KTM to my kids. I have a 15-minute thing. You have 15 minutes to either celebrate or to be depressed, and then you need to get the hell over both and get back to the gate for the next one.
Keep it moving.
Emotionless. Get over it. If you win, good job. 15 minutes, done. Back to the gate. So 15 minutes goes by. Good job. Yeah, I said, all right, stop. Now we're going for 8. We're going for 8. And he's like, okay. His next moto, he hole shot. He led the kid to the last lap, 3 corners from the end. The kid bonsai'd by him and beat him by 1 second. And I didn't know whatever. He comes off. What happened?
That's a substantial.
It was psychotic.
Jump.
And you know what he said? I said, why? I said, what? What did you do? I'm like asking, like, what did you do? And he rode so good. He didn't even crack. The kid passed him. He passed him doing bonsai stuff, but
yeah.
Evan held his own. He didn't do it. He was really good. So it was a total win. And he comes off and he goes, honestly, Dad, I was just on the gate and I was thinking, I just wanted to shock you. And it gave me this weird.
Man, that's cool.
Chills.
And I just like hugged him and I just squeezed him and I was like, what the hell, man? Like I still don't even know exactly what to respond to that because you're on the gate and you're thinking, what can I do to shock my dad? And I mean, I don't want to get into my childhood. That's not the time. It's not the time for that. But I have some childhood things that still, I think, affect me a lot to this day. And I just looking at him and I couldn't believe that he wanted to do that for me and went out and pulled off what I would say was maybe the best 5 laps I've ever seen out of this kid. And for him to come back and be so excited to tell me, Dad, I just wanted to shock you. And so when you say that,
that's what it's all about.
I'm like, dude, what the hell? And I don't even get it. I don't even know what to think. But he did exactly what I thought he would do. Is he went in the next moto and he fell in the first turn and got smoked. So it all equaled out.
Hey, we had one.
But we had Moto 3. But yeah, so that just happened. So back to your point though on the fear of failure thing. My fear of failure was always my own realization. I didn't want to get beat by somebody trying my very hardest because then I would have to accept the fact that I got beat by them. So I would subconsciously self-sabotage myself so much because then I had a reason why it happened. And I hate that I'm like that. I still have those tendencies, but I had those my whole life.
That.
And it's like, it's this weird pride thing, like a very internal pride thing, but I still don't understand that all the way, but I know I got that because it's haunted me forever, man. So.
Yeah, back to that point, the fear of failure, I think from what I've learned so far in my life, I think that's helped me get over that. I'm genuinely sitting here today. I'm not scared to fail. And it's not, you know, I'm not trying to sound like I'm self-righteous or, you know, like I'm this big, you know, but to assert myself above anything. It's just my life experience and how it's led me. But I've failed. I've tried and failed and tried and failed enough times to where I know the sun is going to rise the next day, no matter what. And nobody cares more than me about it. Mm-hmm. You know, you kind of, sometimes I think you can put all these, I guess, fake consequences, I call it. Mm-hmm. Like you feel like the world's going to be looking down on you, you know, and nobody cares. It's like when it's like when you're getting dressed to go out at night, it's, you know, and you're trying different stuff on and like, you know, asking your girl if you look okay. You're going to go out and everybody just wants to know how they look. They're not really even paying attention, you know? So
you're
I think
so concerned with what you're wearing and then you won't even look at what anyone else is wearing and care. And you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah, I'm like,
are they caring about what
exactly.
Our brains are, dude, We're just
But
like super smart monkeys at the end of the day, man. Like we're silly as humans, so I'm not surprised.
Yeah, I just wanted to get to that place mentally so I could go after the things that I want to go after, and I don't always have to get it right. Like I don't have, people. When I was 10, 11 years old, an article came out like James Stewart, Ricky Carmichael, Adam Cianciarulo ? And it's like that weighed on me for so long, feeling like if I'm not there, that's going to be a failure for me, and that's part of that like defensive mentality. Mm-hmm. And I've found kind of fulfillment in just sustained effort and renewed focus on doing the things I can, and I've been able to grow and kind of get over that fear.
Through personal experience too, not someone telling you, right? People can tell you all they want to tell you.
Oh man, I am so stubborn. I am so stubborn. I had to learn so many things the hard way. Mm-hmm. And if it wasn't for this sport and because I care about it so much, I wouldn't have been able to, I promise you the things that I've learned the last 3 years, it would have taken me until I'm 50 years old to figure this stuff out. And
this sport will teach you a lot quick. You turn 30 and you're like, damn, I've lived like 3 lives already, man.
For real.
That's what this sport feels like. So.
Well, we're gonna have to do this again.
Yeah, dude, we'll do a 2.0 at some point.
Yeah, I feel like we're just getting started. I could sit here and talk to you for 4 hours.
Oh, we could definitely do it. But I'll end the story of the TV by going like this. 2017 was amazing. For the opportunities that came. Okay, now I got my years right. So 2018, I got 10 on the floor.
Yep.
And race day live, and it really started becoming like I said, it started feeling real, but it wasn't real yet. And then when they made the switch out from Fox to NBC, a bunch of things changed. And I remember I went to Florida, to Feld. It was me, Ralph. I met Will for the first time. Ricky was now the analyst full time. It was the new 4, and they brought in Coach Tony, I think, as like, let's glue this new piece. Try to glue this thing together. It's new people, whatever.
Because like you said, it's the chemistry. It's got to go all the way around.
It's a chemistry. And he's brand new to us. He's brand new to the sport. I actually got in a car accident. Oh, my gosh. I just realized you were...
It was me, you, and Andy
Boyer.
Yeah.
Okay, so I got on the way. I flew in.
All you guys, car crash.
No, just me, dude.
We took him to the hospital.
Dude, so I was in an Uber going from the airport to Feld, or going to the hotel. We were going to go to a big dinner that night.
Yeah.
And I got in a bad Uber crash on the freeway. I mean, bad enough to where, I had a lawsuit, and it was like a big deal.
The driver was being stupid?
Not my driver. We got wrecked. Someone hit us. We stopped in traffic, and someone came in wide open, just rear-ended us and jacked me. Got a concussion, jacked my neck up, whatever. I'm trying not to cause a lot of attention on myself there, so I just kind of like got in another Uber, got to my hotel, and I was so hungry, and I'm just kind of delirious. I end up walking next door to the hotel to get food. Shane and Andy Boyer are in there, and within like, a minute or two of talking, they're like, bro, are you okay? I'm like, I'm fine. They're like, no, you're not. I said, well, kind of got in a car accident a few minutes ago, but I'm fine. But they're like, no, you're not. So they ended up taking me to the hospital, and I had to go in and do like an eye check. And dude, they were like, you're rocked, bro. Like I couldn't see. I couldn't even see any letters. I'm glad you guys took me, because it ended up, being a bigger deal than I wanted to make it.
Well, another thing right there, like you walked, you saw Shane,
I couldn't even
Andy.
Was that an Applebee's or what was that? Chili's or something?
Love
Chili's.
Applebee's. Chili's, great establishment.
I love them too. Anyways. So the next day, we go to Feld to meet everybody, and we do a one-on-one session with Coach Tony, and I get in the room, and I'm like, what's up? And within 5 minutes, he goes, I've watched your tape, and you're really good at this. You need to pivot. You need to move out of the analyst lane. I was like, why? And he's like, well, because if you want to do this for a living, which I hadn't thought about that yet, he's like, you need to realize that if you are an analyst, you're an analyst in the sport that you know.
And you're locked.
And there's only one more position for you to go here, and that's up, and that's the greatest of all time in that seat. So you're done unless you want to learn the other role, and then you can do anything. And I at first was like, hell no. That guy has so much responsibility. I already can't stand race day live. It's still hard for me. I don't like that. No way, no way, no way. And he was like, no, you're going to pivot. And he said, I want you to right now get to work and start studying broadcasting. I want you to study the play-by-play, analyst, pit report. I want you to study every role that exists, every producer. And I want you to take all that, and we're going to do something with this. And that was the moment.
And here you are.
I went, all right, I'm going for it. I'm going all in. And I went.
Took a lot of work.
All in. Right there. That was the day. So.
Man,
Where are you at now? How we feeling about everything?
I'm at Adam's house, man, having a good time.
I like that.
I'm at Adam's house, having a good time. I'm hanging with Shane.
I like
Shane. And just I'm in a
doing the Orange Brigade thing right now.
Orange Brigade. I'm becoming a part owner at Next Level 101, which is a track in South Carolina. Eddie Ray and Jessica Patterson own.
Okay,
So I'm becoming a partner with them.
Awesome.
KTM job is extremely awesome. I do have some TV opportunities in stick and ball. I did some lacrosse this year. I actually went and did some ESPN lacrosse during the weeks. I was kind of scooting over and doing some stuff. Low key,
so cool.
I didn't want anyone to know because
so
if it was
cool.
bad.
You told me, and I was
there's a couple homies that I know that I could tell you, and you're not going to find it. Number one, I didn't think you could find it. Someone did. I'm not going to tell you. Someone in the TV crew found the performances. Really? Yeah, I'll never say. Even though they've worked out because it's opened up a couple offers in Division I college sports.
That's awesome.
So, the crazy part is though, I don't think I'm going to do it. I'm leaning towards not doing it for reasons I don't want to get into right now. Like I said, I feel like I'm going through a massive transformation period in my life. Sold my business, moved across the country. TV stuff's coming to a close here. I don't know even who I am all the way right now. I know the things I like and what I'm doing.
Man?
No, we don't.
Do we ever?
Well, you think you do, and that's the problem. Is you think you things got figured out, that's when the backhand smacks you across the face. So,
well, man, it's been awesome to see you,
dude.
Kind of.
It's awesome, and I'm glad you're doing this too, by the way, because I've always loved as an interviewer. When you interview people, you gravitate towards the people that communicate great back, and I've always loved interviewing you, except for once.
Oh yeah,
there was one interview.
Vegas.
Oh my God,
that's another. I think that's a whole.
We'll save that for part 2. But dude, that was the one time in my life where I was terrified of my job. Is when Bondo said, "Go to Adam," and I said, "Nope."
It's funny because that moment for me. Well, and we won't get into it. We got to go here. I'm going furniture shopping, but that moment for me is such a defining moment in a good way.
We were just talking about that too last night.
Yeah, and it's it was a really bad moment at the time, but I look back on it and I genuinely smile. So I'm glad I did.
And my final note to you is, I've always liked you. Just you're cool. You're a nice guy. You're always, and I've always respected you. I respect everybody, but that moment and the way you handled that, and the way Nick Way handled that, because he was a part of making you stand up.
Oh, 100%.
He told you, get your ass up.
Yes,
do this
he did.
interview. The way you handled that
if it wasn't for Nick, I wouldn't have done that.
Oh, probably not. And I told Nick, I pointed at the mic, and he's like, Adam, get up.
He said, Nick told me you need to man up and do it.
I couldn't believe that. And you did. And your interview and what you said, I'm not kidding, was one of the most inspirational things that I have ever seen and got to be a part of, because you were so unbelievably authentic and pure and awesome. And then the fact that you went and won that outdoor title, I was just that dude, you're a savage. And I want you to know my scariest moment ever was because of you. And it's why my respect for you has gone from 10 to 20 because of that moment. So,
well, it's the feeling's mutual, my friend.
Appreciate it.
So thank you. Right. Yeah, thank you for joining us. We're definitely going to need a part 2 at some point. Luckily, this is a mobile setup. We can do this pretty much anywhere.
Dude,
come to your house.
But yeah,
come to South Carolina, bro. Welcome.
Oh, anytime. I'd love to. But yeah, thanks for coming on and being a part of this, and we'll see you again soon. And
awesome. Everybody, thank you for listening. This is episode, what is this, 4 or 5?
4.
Okay, so episode 4.
Just so you know, when you get to like 30, 40, you won't even remember. So
welcome back to episode 342.
You'll forget someday.
Anyway, thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you next time.